Hi guys, this is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you have yet to do so. And if you get anything from my work, a connected dot, an epiphany, a mind-blown moment, new books to read, new authors to explore, artwork, oracle cards, all that fun stuff, you can find it in the description, how to help me, ways and all that fun stuff. And if you are interested in pyramids, new one out of the mold, keychains, fun artwork. I'm stuck on a cord. Oh, sometimes it would zoom down. Poopy. My chair is broken. I need a new one. Jeez Louise. Yeah, you can see all the pyramids on the floor. You can all do that fun stuff. AllyKatzkreations211.com is where you could see a lot of the stuff. This isn't up yet, and a few other things aren't up yet. It takes me a while. So today we're going to do a Oahspe, and we're going to pick up from 7, the Book of Arcabon, which is the lower half of the book, and then we'll do the top. And mind you, I do apologize before I even begin with my schedule, and things have been a little crazy. I have a lot of changing to do in my life. Just gonna put that there. And not because I don't love people, it's just highly frustrating that no one respects my time. And I'm a nice person and don't put my foot down. And I get it. But this, when I'm on the phone for several hours with people all day, and not getting paid for it, it's yeah. So chapter 7, lower book. Whoever is born into the world is in part possessor of the world by fact of his birth. All come into the world naked and helpless, and they deserve our assistance because of helplessness. To help the helpless is the highest virtue. 2 wise men are greater than one, a nation of wise men. What could be greater than this? Yet all men come into the world knowing nothing, to give them great wisdom is to make the nations wise and great, to open the avenues on every side of great learning. This is the foundation for a great kingdom. To have the soil tilled, is this not greater than hunting and fishing? To throw the lands open in the east and the west and the north and south, to the tiller of the soil, this is the foundation of plenty. When the poor and ignorant are supplied with what to eat and to wear, with a place to live, there is little crime. But great virtue and such are great strength in that kingdom. To hold more land than one can till is to sin against them that have none, who have not wherewith to live or to earn a living. Yes, such a one is an enemy to the nation. There are 2 kinds of governments. One is government for the government, and the other is government for the people. The latter government, the people, will endorse and by their wills make mighty. The former government seeketh to make itself mighty at the expense of the people. Such a government is in the throes of death. To make government and people one as to prosperity and peace, this is the highest government. For the government to render unto the people bountifully as to land and water, and as to great learning and to music, this is the wisest, best government. What man is there that loveth not liberty, the chief of all desires? Can a government abridge this without crippling itself or forfeiting the love and cooperation of its people? To bestow liberty and maintain it unto all people, this is the greatest good thing a government can do. But who shall say what is liberty, and the end thereof? A man shall not have liberty that offendeth his neighbor, or depriveth him of virtuous livelihood. No man should run naked, nor should a man have liberty to go into another's field and take his harvest. How then shall a government take a man's possessions against his will? But he who hath receiveth great learning will not offend by nakedness, nor by taking that which is another's. Shows you who's running our government right now. People got this much. What then is greater than for a government to bestow great learning on the people, or indoctrination? Sorry, guys, I'm a little feisty today. It is not enough to say to the poor, here is land, feed yourselves. But men of great learning shall be sent amongst them, showing them how to till the soil and how to build and to keep themselves pure in soul and body. For great learning is not in the books only, nigh there be men of great knowledge as to books, who are themselves gluttons and debaucheries and bigots and tyrants and base authority. Such men have not great learning, but in fact great vanity. Two kingdoms lying side by side, in the one are great philosophers in colleges, but the multitude are in want. In the other kingdom there are no philosophers as such, nor colleges, but multitude have plenty. And the page is stuck. Jeez Louise. The Latinum, I within the judgment of men. Oh, hang on, sorry. The latter is a kingdom of greater learning than the former, for of what consisteth great learning, but in knowing how to live wisely. A few philosophers are not a nation. To bestow such knowledge on the people as will enable them to live wisely and be happy to a good old age. This is the labor of the best, great government. It is a common saying that such and such a king is a great king, because forsooth he hath founded colleges. And this is no small matter, but how much greater is the king who hath founded 1,000 poor families and taught them how to live wisely? To make a law to prevent liberty, to bind slaves more rigidly, is to weaken the nation, to weaken the kingdom. For see ye, a man had 10 servants, and they were free. Then he bound 9 of them with chains, and complained because they served him not well. He was a fool. To labor for oneself at the expense of the state is to rob the state. To hoard up possessions is to rob the poor. What treasure hath any man that he can take out of the world? Better it is to give it wildest one may, for tomorrow we die, leaving it to them that earn it not. The highest peace is the peace of the soul, which cometh of consciousness of having done the wisest and the best in all things according to the one's own light. I agree with that statement wholeheartedly. For after all is not the earth life, but the beginning wherein are, as in a womb, molding our souls into the condition which will come upon us after death, in which case we should, with altericity, seize upon the passing time and appropriate it to doing righteous works to one another. When the king and the royal council beheld the great wisdom of Calypia, they were struck dumb in their seats. After a while, the king said, was it not my blood that our forefathers established Dius, scattering the faithless with great havoc? Shall we gather up the escaped races and nurse them, and have them turn upon us and bite us? Shall we not have with our valiant arms defend Deus? To Calypia answered, sufficient unto his battles is the God of Vinu. If the king must need fight Deus battles, then Deus is a weak God indeed. Heaven forbid that Calypia believe in such a God or labor for one so weak. But thou art right, O king, by blood our forefathers established Deus, but where is there, either in ancient or modern learning, a commandment that Deus shall be maintained by blood? Didst not thou thyself receive a commandment to stop the sacrifice of human blood on the altar? Is it then indeed a holier place or the battlefield that these things must continue? Man loveth vengeance, and more for this than righteousness. He desireth in conflict or destroy others. Nevertheless, all things are answered accordingly as they are. Vengeance answereth vengeance. Blood answereth blood. War answereth war. And the same rule applieth to virtue, which begotteth virtue love, which begotteth love. Peace, peace, good works, good works. For in these things our souls play a greater part than do our external bodies. Truth. One of the royal council said, how sayest thou of rites and ceremonies? Calypia answered, without rites and ceremonies, the spiritual person of the state and at the community of the nation is like a man that hath thrown away his clothes and then with disgust drowned himself. As the soldiers of the army have drill, which is discipline, so shall the worshippers have rites and ceremonies, which are the drill to keep one's soul in reverence for the Creator. But it falleth not to my lot to say unto you what rites or what ceremonies, for these also come under the head of liberty. Another one of the royal council asked, some men who are bad men have great pleasures and enjoyments. Some men who are virtuous and wise have great trials and miseries. What then is the prize which thy philosophy offereth to them that practice righteousness and good works? Calypia said, could thine eyes see as mine have seen, or thy ears hear as mine have heard? Then were easy to answer thee. Nevertheless, I declare unto thee a great truth, which is revealed in the doctrines of the ancients, that this is not the real life, but the embryonic state. And many that have great pleasures and enjoyments in this life waken up as babes in heaven, whilst many who are virtuous and wise, but suffer great misery in this life, wake up in heaven in strength and glory. More are trials and exertions to be desired than ease and enjoyment, for the former causeth the soul to look upward, but the latter causeth the soul to look downward. Nevertheless, severe trials are great injustice to any man. When the king and the royal council beheld that Calypia had greater wisdom than any other man, the king said unto them, no man in all the world hath wisdom sufficient to try my son. How say ye? And they answered, that is true. Whereupon the king said, Calypia, hear thou the king's decree, and it shall be a law unto thee in all the kingdoms of the world, which is that thou hast been tried by the greatest king on the earth, and art acquitted and declared to be above the dominion of mortals. And thou shalt go whithersoever thou wilt in any land, doing whatever so thou desirest, and no man shall arrest thee, forbidden thee in anything whatsoever. And whatsoever law, to call not on thy name of any angel who is Lord or God is my religion, but to call on Jehovah, the great Spirit. Whoso calleth on the Creator will be answered by him who is the All-Highest. How can Jehovah answer thee? Hath he lips and tongue and mouth? Jehovah is the soul of all things. He speaketh to his soul. His voice hath had many names, but the heathen and the idolater, he is called Conscience. What profit hast thou in worshiping him? I am so created because of the fullness of him. In me, I desire to express my admiration and to commune with him. Whoso hath not this desire to is an evil man. Will he answer thy prayers, turn aside from his unusual course, and come especially to thee more than to another? As a horse drinketh water from a trough, and so enlargeth himself, so doth the soul of the righteous man drink from the everlasting fountain. Jehovah and the soul of man thus enlargeth and accomplisheth in answer to its own prayer. Nevertheless, it is all cometh from Jehovah. Neither turneth he aside from his usual course, for he is ever present, and thus answered the prayer of the soul of man. What prayers answereth he, and what prayers answereth he not? He answereth the prayer for purity and love and wisdom and virtue. Whoso prayeth to him for permission to do good unto others, he answereth without fail. He answereth not selfishness, nor the prayers of the wicked. Wherefore, for the wicked say, he answereth not prayer. Callippius said, My beloved, when ye approach the altar of Jehovah, ye shall repeat the wise words I have taught you, but not aloud like the idolaters, but in the whisper or a low voice. What is the worship of Jehovah's chosen, and wherein differeth it from the heathens? Jehovah's voice chosen stand equal for the Father, and every one shall work out his own resurrection, both in this world and the next. Hence there are direct worshipers, being taught to worship Jehovah with their own prayers and songs. The heathen have priests to do worship for the people, who contribute to them money for the service. The heathen priests worship the spirits of the dead, who call themselves Lord and God and Savior. The children war not, resent not by violence, but answer evil by good, and practice charity and love. The heathen, the worshippers of God and of the Lord and Deus, and all other idols, practice war, maintain armies of soldiers who are taught the art of killing with great havoc. They build monuments to men and otherwise blasphemy against Jehovah. They teach that Jehovah is void, but that he made himself into Deus, a larger man, and then created all things, after which he retired to his throne, leaving certain laws to govern his works. What is Zoroastrian law of life? To eat not flesh of anything Jehovah created with the breath of life, to bathe once every day, to raise the morning sun, and to be temperate in all things. What is Zoroastrian fatherhood and motherhood? To have but one wife, to have but one husband, to maintain sacred and maternal period. What is the Zoroastrian compensation? All things belong to Jehovah. Man is but his servant. The fruits of the earth and all of the labor shall be cast unto the rabbi's house, and by him deliver unto the needy. Why were Zoroastrians persecuted and destroyed? Because they resisted not by violence, but they worshiped not the idols of the heathens. Had they no way of saving themselves? To the end, Jehovah gave them certain signs and passwords, whereby they might know one another, and in time distress assist one another to flee. Why did not Jehovah preserve his chosen people? By the laws of the circumcision, the faithless could only marry amongst themselves, in order to preserve a knowledge of Jehovah or his mind amongst mortals. They who were holy were preserved. They who went after earthly things and after the idolaters were cut off. But even in this, Jehovah profited the seed of the faithless by raising up heirs of Suis amongst the heathen. Callippius said, Teach ye these things to your children from their youth up, and enjoin it upon them to teach them to their children. That's the lower book. The upper book. Onward sped Lika in his Arvanga, with his 800 million through the sea of Oahspe, the Ethereal realm of Oahspe, shining like a meteor in its flight, the ship of fire of 800 million on every side, the Jehovian worshippers' vessels, tens of thousands, coursing as many ways, some fast on missions of quickening labor, some slow as traveling school ships, exploring the great expanse and glorious riches of Jehovah's provided worlds, always ready for the newborn. Each and all the ships are studded gems in the Ethereal sea, moving brilliance, playing kaleidoscope views, ever changing the boundless scene with surpassing wonders. And all of these by signs and signals of the story of their place and mission, revealing to the high-rise Ethereal souls, ships and men, as quick and living books of fire, radiant with the fire's light and history of the worlds. Unlike a ship on all the others, every soul, hundreds of millions, enraptured, stood in awe and admiration of the ever-changing scenes, some in silence absorbed in thought, some posing with upraised hands, some ejaculating gleefully, and some in high reverence to Jehovah, uttering everlasting praise, every soul its full bent being the full ripe fruit of the diversified talents as they first shone forth in corporal life. Onward sped like as Aravanga, now in the roads of Pita, now in the Ihean forests of Wayan, most rich in adamantine, no idea, substances, arcs, stalactites, and stalagmites, and in forming and dissolving scenes, a forest of every background in the Ethereal worlds for the overbrilliant crystal regions of light. And here too, the tens of thousands of ships of Jehovah's chosen on either side the great roadway, like the fields of annuity, inhabited by countless millions of Ethereal kingdoms. Along the road for hundreds of thousands of miles, stretch up the hands of millions and millions of souls, waving banners and flags to their favorite ships, going to some native star from which Jehovah brought them forth. To change the course of Lika's Aravanga by his command sent through the comet Yotigatra, a new condensing world, already with a head of fire 4,000 miles broad, a very ball of melted Kapoor, whirling like a spindle of a filling spool, forever winding unto itself the wide extending nebulae. Here were coursing among hundreds of thousands of school ships, with students and visitors to view the scenes, and most grand and rolling on, now round, now broken, now outstretched, this bowl of liquid fire, whirling in the vortex 30 million miles long, to balance against which vortex many of the ships tossed and rolled dangerously, had they not been in skilled hands, and as they were, causing millions of the students on many a ship to fear and tremble, perceiving how helpless and stupid they were compared to the very gods who had them in charge. Not long did Lika loiter to view the scenes or indulge in the 800 million, but stood his course again for the red star, the earth, coursing the Fulse Mountains, where the god Virila Gabion built the Enochiest kingdom. I totally butchered that word, whose capital was Extras, the place where the Nulian gods assembled to witness the first setting forth of the earth. Here, halting a while and adown went Lika's recorders to gather from the extras, whatever. This portion of the book, libraries, the earth, early history and the grade of her creation, a copy of which obtained the recorders, hastily returned when onward again sped the Aravanga, now making course across the plains of Zed, in the midst of which lay the great sea, Ablowochisi, 4 million miles across, and this also studded over the thousands of Etherian ships, and now across to Rekis, the place of the goddess in Fuchis, with her 7,000 million Etherian souls, whereupon Lika and his host cast down millions of wreaths and tokens, and while the music of the two spheres mingled together in Jehovah's praise, here across the distance was 3 million miles. Now all the while before the red star stood upward, inclining upward, but here in horizontal line began to stand gleaming in more efficient flame. And in the course where like as Aravanga should go, the goddess in Fuchsis and previously upraised 100,000 pillars of fire to honor him and his company, which great respect Lika and his hosts answered with holy salutations. After this came the Jahayan forest of Hagobed, 3 million miles across and close for lack of Etherian air and inspiration. Here stood the province of Arthaseton, where dwelt the god Uswin, with 30,000 million new raised brides and bridegrooms from the star Kagados. Over these regions, Lika sped swiftly, and then to the open sea, Amatapan on the Vashun roads. Sorry, guys. Then a sail of 2,000,000 miles in the uninhabited regions of Sama, when he reached Shimvat, the bridge of the bounty of the earth's vortex beyond the orbit of the moon, and how halting not, but now coursing on a downward plane, made straight toward the swift rolling earth, whose speed was 750,000 miles a day. Through the high floating plateau of atmosphere came Lika in his fire ship, with his hosts 800 million. Came his ship like a meteor, large as the continent. On the uninhabited plateau, whatever, rich and broad as the earth, high above the lands of Jaeth and Vinu and Arabia, likened Lika in his Aravanga with his 800 million. Here he made fast his fire ship, and forth came his host to found a heavenly kingdom. Like I said, I hear thy voice, O Jehovah. Thy hand is upon me. In thy wisdom and power will I build the foundations of thy kingdom in these heavens. Jehovah said, call forth thy Rapon hosts, thy companion chiefs, build thy throne abroad for them in thee, and shape thee the area of the capital, and stand thy high council, the chosen million, to the four quarters of the heavens of the earth. The legions then fell to and built a heavenly place unto Jehovah, and called it Yogan Aquatra, home of Lika and his 800 million. Jehovah called out of the light of the throne, which Lika built, saying, Lika, my son, thou shalt build all things new on the earth and in the heavens of earth, even if nothing had ever been. Send thou thy messengers in all Octavian to the broken down region of my beloved God of Krishavi, and bring him and his 1,000 attendants unto thy place. Thereupon an octan was sent off, well officered, and in due time, in return, bringing God to Yoga and Quatra, where he was received with great joy and greeted in Jehovah's name. Lika said, speak thou, O God, for I come to deliver these heavens into Jehovah's dominion. Where are the light and the darkness of the heavens and the earth when we have been entrusted to thy keeping in Jehovah's name? God said, alas, how can I speak? Behold, my kingdoms are scattered and gone. I have nowhere any pride in anything I have done in earth and heaven. An exceeding great darkness came upon my people for 1,500 years. Thy servants have been overpowered, helpless, and tossed as chaff before the wind. Lika said, how many gods, how many Dans of darkness? Whither are gone my true gods? God said, 4 gods are risen to Etheria with their hosts, heartbroken true gods. 4 Dans have come and gone, so weak and small, like a breath of air, for the darkness brushed them away. In Savak Haben, in Etheria, sojourn thy gods. Jehovah's light fell upon the throne, and his voice came out of the light, saying, send thou, O my son, Lika, to Savak Haben, 4 arrow ships with 100,000 attendants for my true gods, and bring them to Yoga Anquatra. Lika then sent 4 arrow ships with his swift messengers and 100,000 attendants to bring back the 4 disconcerted gods. God said, thousands of millions of angels, darkness, flood the Hadan regions, and as many grovel about on the lower earth. Darius, the false Lord God, is cast into hell, a hell so wide that none can approach his place of torment. Tin, the false god, the Jas, is also cast into hell, and so is Sudga, the false Darius. And so are the false gods that encompass the earth around their kingdoms are in anarchy. The names Lord and God and Darius and Zeus and Jas and Hojas and many others have become worshipful on the earth, not only labored the traitors to put away the Great Spirit, but to establish themselves as man-gods capable of creating the venerable creator of heaven and earth. Like I said, hear thou then the voice of Jehovah, because they have put me aside and assumed to be creators under the name of God. Deus, I will magnify the person of God and Deus in men's understanding, nor from this time forth on earth for thee 3,000 years shall man be confined to the one name Jehovah or Elohim or Elohim, but worship God or Lord or Deus or Zeus or Deus or Jas or Hojas. For such these men had cast themselves into hells. Behold, the spirits of the risen shall not find them, nor their kingdoms. And thou shalt magnify unto mortals that all names worshipable belong to the ever-present, whose person is the spirit and substance of all things. And if they inquire thee, who is Deus, or who is God, or who is Jas, thou shalt say, hath he not said, behold, I am the creator of heaven and earth? And I say unto you, he is the ever-present, the all-highest ideal. But this bondage shall come upon them to reap the harvest they have sown. Because one hath said, built thou a pyramid, and thy God will come and abide them therein. Even as man dwelleth in the house, he shall be bound while the pyramid standeth. And another hath said, behold, the God is in the image of a man, and he sitteth on a throne in heaven. He shall be bound while this belief surrendereth on the earth. Because they have sown a falsehood on the earth, the harvest is theirs. And until they have reaped their whole harvest, they shall not rise into my ethereal worlds. When the other four gods, the true sons of Jehovah, who had been discomfited in the lower heavens by Deus and his fellow false gods, came, the light of Jehovah came again on Lika's throne. Jehovah said, I suffer not evil to triumph over good, but for the short seasons, and soon or late, my righteous sons and daughters rise up and rejoice in their trials, which I suffered too, come upon them. Let no man or angel say, because this or that happeneth, lo, Jehovah sleepeth at his post, or lo, Jehovah is the author of evil, or is impotent to avert it. My times are not as the times of man or angels. I, within the judgment of man, as to what is evil or good, when the wealth of the rich man is stolen, do not mortals say, poor man, Jehovah hath afflicted him. For they judge me by what they consider afflictions, but they behold not that I look to the soul of man as to what good it for him. And when the assassin hath strucketh the king unto death, behold, they say, how hath the good creator done this? For they consider not the nation nor the problem of anything but for the day thereof, nor consider they what I do for the souls of many nations, but one small act. For all people in heaven and earth are my own. They are as trees in my orchard, and I prune them not for the life of the branches, but for benefit of the whole orchard, and for the harvest that cometh after. I created life, and I take it away. Life. In my own way do I with my own. I send night to follow the day, clouds to interchange with the sunshine, and even so do I give times of Dan to my atmosphere heavens, to be followed by seasons of darkness. By these changes do mortals and angels and gods learn to battle with and overcome the elements of my worlds. The true God said, we weep before thee, O Jehovah, long and hard we labor our allotted seasons. We were helpless witnesses to the great darkness that came upon the inhabitants of heaven and earth. Like I said, to you 5 true gods who have toiled in the darkness of the earth and her heavens, I restore your old time names for the season of dawn, after which I will raise you all up with your kingdoms restored to the full, and ye shall be heirs in my Nirvanian heavens in peace and rest. And that will end this section here. Next time we will start on both section 10, which is on both books. So I hope you guys enjoyed this section of the Oahspe book. Sending each and every one of you love, light, protection, grace, compassion, shielding, energy. Please be safe, be seen. Please don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe. getting close to 1,000 subscribers, which would be great. And if you're interested in any of my artwork, AllyKatzkreations211.com. The link is on my page for YouTube, and you can check me out. It's just a portfolio, so if you're interested in anything, please email me. And I hope all of you have a blessed day. Bye for now.